Today, we're going to be taking and comparing a couple of popular online political quizzes. How do they match up against each other? How do they match up against what I know of my own positions? How well do I know my own positions? Let's find out. The first one we're looking at is 8 values. Oppression by corporations is more of a concern than oppression by governments. Yeah, probably, at least at the moment. It probably depends on the government, but in like Western society, probably. I'll say agree. It is necessary for the government to intervene in the economy to protect consumers. Yeah, definitely. The freer the market, the freer the people. No. That's stupid. It is better to maintain a balanced budget than to ensure welfare for all citizens. No, that's kind of a false dichotomy. Publicly funded research is more beneficial to the people than leaving it to the market. Yeah. Tariffs on international trade are important to encourage local production. I don't have a strong opinion on this. I'm not sure, I'd have to look into it. From each according to his ability to each according to his needs. Yeah, probably. It would be best if social programs were abolished in favor of private charity. That sounds like a dystopia. I'm going to disagree with that. Taxes should be increased on the rich to provide for the poor. It's probably a good idea. Inheritance is a legitimate form of wealth. Maybe in some like rare case, but probably not generally. I'm going to say no. Basic utilities like roads and electricity should be publicly owned. Yeah. Government intervention is a threat to the economy. No. Those with greater ability to pay should receive better health care. Definitely not. That just leads to lower quality health care for most people. Quality education is a right of all people. Yes. The means of production should belong to the workers who use them. Yeah. The United Nations should be abolished. Like, hypothetically, not right now, probably. We probably need them at the moment. I don't know. I'm going to say neutral. Military action by our nation is often necessary to protect it. This seems kind of loaded. I'm going to disagree. But, like, that could hypothetically be true. But not often. I support regional unions such as the European Union. That seems like a good idea, I think. I'm going to agree. I don't know a whole lot about it, though. It's important to maintain our national sovereignty. A united world government would be beneficial to mankind. It could be. Depends on the world government, right? Like, I don't want the world government from One Piece. It is more important to retain peaceful relations than to further our strength. Yeah, probably. I don't care that much about strength, necessarily. Wars do not need to be justified to other countries. Definitely disagree. Military spending is a waste of money. I think the extent that they do it is, but the military itself needs to exist, I think, in some capacity in any society, or almost any society. I'll disagree. International aid is a waste of money. Definitely disagree. My nation is great. Definitely disagree. Research should be conducted on an international scale. Yep. Governments should be held accountable to the international community. Yes. Even when protesting an authoritarian government, violence is not acceptable. No. Disagree. My religious values should be spread as much as possible. Nope. Don't have any. Our nation's values should be spread as much as possible. Nope, that's pretty dumb. It is very important to maintain law and order. Yes, but not in the way that a lot of people mean. That really depends on what that means. I'm gonna disagree. Nah, I'm gonna say neutral. The general populace makes poor decisions. Generally speaking, I think I disagree with that. Physician-assisted suicide should be legal. Yes. The sacrifice of some civil liberties is necessary to protect us from acts of terrorism. Technically, yes, but not to the extent that we sacrifice them now. And not in the way that most people mean. So I'm going to disagree. Government surveillance is necessary in the modern world. No, I don't think so. Not in the way that probably means. The very existence of the state is a threat to our liberty. Yeah. Regardless of political opinions, it is important to side with your country. Nope. All authority should be questioned. Yep. A hierarchical state is best. Nope. It is important that the government follows the majority opinion, even if it is wrong. No. I don't think that. If, like, everyone in Nazi Germany wanted to do the Holocaust, I don't think that would make it right to do it. Or that it should do it. I disagree. The stronger the leadership, the better. I don't know what that means. Democracy is more than a decision-making process. Yeah, it's about freedom. Environmental regulations are essential. Yes. A better world will come from automation, science, and technology. I disagree with the term will there, so I'm going to say disagree. But I think it could. But I think that phrasing is bad. Children should be educated in religious or traditional values. Definitely not. Traditions are of no value on their own. Yeah. Religion should play a role in the government. No. Churches should be taxed the same way as any other institutions are taxed. Yeah. Climate change is currently one of the greatest threats to our way of life. Yes. It is important that we work as a united world to combat climate change. Yeah. Society was better many years ago than it is now. Definitely not. No, I don't think so. It is important that we maintain the traditions of our past. No. It is important that we think in the long term beyond our lifespans. Yep. Reason is more important than maintaining our culture. Yeah. Drug use should be legalized or decriminalized? Yeah. Same-sex marriages should be legal? Yes. No cultures are superior to others? This is another problem of me wanting to answer this literally. I'm going to say yes, even though I could think of a way I could say no to that. Sex outside marriage is immoral. No. If we accept migrants at all, it is important that they assimilate into our culture. No, not really. Not necessarily. I'm going to disagree. Abortion should be prohibited in most or all cases. No. Gun ownership should be prohibited for those without a valid reason. So the reason I would disagree in America is because literally everybody has guns in America. Like, Republicans are armed to the teeth. Hypothetically, if we could snap all of the guns out of existence, I would agree with this in that context. But because Republicans are like basically preparing for some kind of civil war and fetishizing violence against queer people, and I just don't think it's great to say that no one else should be armed in that situation. Although I suppose that would fall under a valid reason, but then it's kind of like everyone has a valid reason. But sure, I guess that fits within the confines of the question. We'll agree with that. I support single-payer universal health care. Yeah. Prostitution should be illegal? No. Maintaining family values is essential? No. Not in the way that people mean. To chase progress at all costs is dangerous. I actually don't know what this is saying. Does it mean progress like technological or social progress? I'm going to say neutral. Genetic modification is a force for good? No, probably not. Not predominantly. We should open our borders to immigration? Yeah. Governments should be as concerned about foreigners as they are about their own citizens. What does that mean, concerned? I'm going to assume that's like gesturing towards equality. All people, regardless of factors like culture or sexuality, should be treated equally. Yeah. It is important that we further my group's goals above all others. No. Libertarian communism. 94% communist, 17% internationalist, 82% libertarian, 89% very progressive. Yep, this seems about right to me. All right, so the other one that we're going to take a look at is from Pew Research Center. This is from 2001, so it's not super new. Guess we're going to just see kind of how it stacks up to the other one. If you had to choose, would you rather have a smaller government providing fewer services or a bigger government providing more services? Bigger. When you say you favor a bigger government providing more services, do you think it would be better to modestly expend on current government services or greatly expend on current government services? Greatly. Which of the following statements comes closest to your view? America's openness to people from all over the world is essential to who we are as a nation. If America is too open to people from all over the world, we risk losing our identity as a nation. Definitely the first one. In general, would you say experts who study a subject for many years are usually better at making good policy decisions about that subject than other people? Usually worse at such? Neither better nor worse. Yeah, usually better. Thinking about increased trade of goods and services between the US and other nations in recent decades, would you say that the US has gained more than it has lost because increased trade has helped lower prices and increase the competitiveness of some US businesses? Lost more than it has gained because increased trade has cost jobs in manufacturing and other industries and lowered wages for some US workers. Probably gained. Trade seems like a good thing. How much more, if anything, needs to be done to ensure equal rights for all Americans, regardless of their racial or ethnic backgrounds? A lot. Which comes closer to your view about what needs to be done to ensure equal rights for all Americans, regardless of their racial or ethnic backgrounds, even if neither is exactly right? Most US laws and major institutions need to be completely rebuilt because they are fundamentally biased against some racial and ethnic groups. While there are many inequities in US laws and institutions, necessary changes could be made by working within the current systems. Definitely the first one. Which of the following statements comes closest to your view? Business corporations make too much profit. Most corporations make a fair and reasonable amount of profit. Definitely the first one. How much, if at all, would it bother you to regularly hear people speak a language other than English in public places in your community? Not at all. No, that bothers people a lot sometimes. I see people complain about that and it's always confused me. On a scale of 0 to 100, where 0 means you feel as cold and negative as possible, and 100 means you feel as warm and positive as possible, how do you feel towards Democrats? 60? How do you feel towards Republicans? 0. That seems about right. Which of these statements best describes your opinion about the United States? The US stands above all other countries in the world. The US is one of the greatest countries in the world, along with some others. There are other countries that are better than the US. Probably the third one. Might be somewhere in between the second and third one, but whatever. Like, the US is bad, but a lot of countries are bad. How much of a problem, if any, would you say that each of the following are in the country today? People being too easily offended by things others say. Not a problem. People saying things that are very offensive to others. The problem isn't that it's offensive, but I understand what they're trying to say. So I'm gonna be charitable and say major problem. Which comes closer to your view of candidates for political office, even if neither is exactly right? I usually feel like there is at least one candidate who shares most of my views. None of the candidates represent my views well. The second one. In general, how much do white people benefit from advantages in society that black people do not have? Great deal. Do you think greater social acceptance of people who are transgender, people who identify as a gender that is different from the sex they were assigned at birth, is very good for society, somewhat good for society, neither good nor bad, somewhat bad, or very bad for society? Very good. Overall, would you say people who are convicted of crimes in this country serve too much time in prison, too little time in prison, or about the right amount of time in prison? Too much. Which of the following statements comes closest to your view? Religion should be kept separate from government policies. Government policies should support religious values and beliefs. The first one. In the future, do you think US policies should try to keep it so America is the only military superpower? Or it would be acceptable if another country became as militarily powerful as the US? I'm kind of split, honestly. Like, I don't like the idea of America having all the power, but I don't know who I want to replace them. I'm leaning towards the second one, though. Outsider left, along with 10% of the public. It thinks I'm like center left. That's interesting. So these are measuring two very different things, it feels like. And what did we learn from these? Nothing at all, I feel. These are basically like, what anime character are you? They can kind of get you a general vibe of where you are on the spectrum, but I think just reading about the actual descriptions of these ideologies or positions or policies is going to get you a lot farther All right, well, that was fun.